All right, everybody, you can keep eating, but we're going to get started. The next person to be talking will be Kevin McEntee. Kevin and Sandy are SLC parents, and I want to brag about them. They're so amazing. If you're ever blessed enough in life to know a McEntee, then you have done something right. They have fought for their daughter so hard and so long, and she's older now, and they have had such a long journey, and they get up every single day with the same resolve that they would as if she were just 2 months old. And so they are going to kick us off after lunch.
All right, so mostly I'm going to focus on behavior and how behavior impacts these kids and their families. Not all the SLC6A1 patients have behavioral issues, but many of them do, and for many families, it's the most significant issue. So this is Katrina. Katrina is 17 years old. She was diagnosed 4 years ago at age 13. She has a splice site variant that I'll let some of you scientists look at and understand. Katrina is nonverbal. She's a skilled communicator with her iPad, but for the most part, especially with people she doesn't know, she's not able to communicate effectively with them. And probably her most significant issue are her aggressive outbursts. So when Katrina is tired or overwhelmed or trying to avoid a task she doesn't want to do, she can become very physically aggressive. And as she's gotten older and physically larger, that's a bigger challenge for us. So I'm going to talk about how behavior really affects how many safe living options we can create for young adults with SLC6A1. But this community can really help. And I'm going to ask you today, like the outcome, I'll go back to the slide at the end, is to measure behavioral outcomes in our research and clinical studies and to include adults in clinical trials. And I think to include adults in clinical trials, we have to diagnose more adults. You know, so many of the patients we know about now are children, but some of them are aging into adulthood, and we are starting to uncover more and more adult diagnoses. So I'll tell you a little bit about Katrina's background. We adopted Katrina in the summer of 2008 in Russia. This is a picture of us in Red Square. Katrina was 11 months old when we adopted her in Russia. And we spent 3 weeks that summer in Russia. We thought that was the adventure of a lifetime, but the adventure has only gotten more exciting since then. So we brought her home to California with her two older siblings. Connor and Kelly are 6 years older than Katrina. They are fraternal twins. And so when Katrina first came home, we knew that she was behind on her milestones, but we assumed that it was really orphanage syndrome. You know, she didn't really have the chance to bond with any caregivers in the orphanage in Russia, so we really focused on bonding with Katrina. So here she is, bonding with mom, bonding with her older brother. Not sure why she's not wearing a helmet, and he is. Bonding with her sister Kelly in the Barbie universe. And you know, we have lots of cute pictures like this of Katrina, but it's actually really challenging to take a cute picture of Katrina. More often our pictures are a little bit like this, where our mom and dad are posing for the camera, but Katrina is doing her own thing. And there's a couple other clues in this picture. Some of the parents might recognize where Sandy's left hand is on Katrina's wrist. And this is a company picnic we were at with Katrina one summer. And Sandy's actually physically managing Katrina. It's because at an event like this with lots of other children around, Katrina might pull their hair or kick them or do something like that to get their attention in inappropriate ways. So we're always very careful in trying to manage Katrina in situations like this. And when she was small like this, you know, we were able to do the physical management. But then Katrina, as she got physically larger, became more difficult. In this photo, you'll see there's white patches on the walls in the background, and those are places where we had patched the wall because Katrina had knocked holes in the walls by banging them with her toys. And you can see there her iPad is strapped to the table so she won't smash it, because frequently she was smashing it. And this was probably the most challenging time with Katrina. She was about 12 and a half, almost 13 in this picture. It was during the COVID lockdowns, and all of our support network had largely collapsed because of the COVID lockdowns. We weren't going out to school or speech therapy or anything like that, and we were trying to do her schooling at home. And so this video, I think, sort of speaks for itself, so I'll play it now. Well, she wasn't able to successfully break the window, fortunately. But we did have lots of other damage in our home. So with the behavioral impacts, it was obvious that we qualified for services, but one of the things we found was that service providers just weren't available for her level of severity. They would meet us or understand her needs and decline or back out largely. And there were injuries at home, both physical and emotional. To us, our family, our friends, teachers and bystanders. And kids like this that are just unable to make safe decisions in some of these situations, everyday risks are really compounded in their lives. So things we take for granted or that we teach our young children around things like looking both ways when you cross the street or interacting safely with other people were very challenging for these kids. And I have the Starbucks logo here because there was an incident at a Starbucks where we then really realized we needed additional help for Katrina. She was very aggressive with Sandy and was pulling her hair and knocked her down, and I just could not physically separate the two of them. Another man stepped in to help. Katrina bit this man, and we didn't know him, and the police came eventually, and he was bleeding quite a bit out of his hands, and he ended up letting the police know that he was a carrier of hepatitis C. And so that was a really dangerous situation for Katrina. Fortunately, she's tested negative since then, but it just gives you an example of, we were not really being able to meet her behavioral needs at home. So we tried everything, ABA, lots of different medications. This next slide, I'm not going to read this slide, but shows the kind of medication trials we've tried over the years with Katrina. There's a lot of things on this list. We've had moderate success with some of them. Some, but not most, I would say. So we're very interested today in the gene therapy discussions and how gene therapy could potentially help Katrina with her behavioral issues. So we, sought more help. I'm going to try to keep us on time and just focus on this last one. Katrina, for the last 3 years, since November of 21, has been living at the Melmark School near Philadelphia, which is a residential school for autistic teenagers. And one of the things in her IEP is that she has a one-on-one behavioral support aide every hour that she's awake. So someone is always with her and able to rotate through shifts and always have someone by her side that's, a trained caregiver for children like Katrina. And, it's working for us. This picture shows us, we took Katrina on her 17th birthday to a seaside amusement park in New Jersey. And this is a picture of Mose, one of the caregivers. He came with us on that trip in case Katrina needed additional behavioral support. And so we're frequently now getting this kind of help to have Katrina out in the community. This is another picture of Katrina with a couple of her behavioral aides. The reason I show this one is because if you recognize the green umbrellas in the background, this is Katrina going to Starbucks and was able to successfully navigate Starbucks with a couple of her favorite aides here, Sam and Jasu. So that's working for us now, but we're really not sure what's next, right? Katrina can stay at Melmark until she's age 22, but then we're not sure. So Sandy and I are busy working out various options. We don't think she can come back and live with us again unless her behavior really is able to be moderated to a degree that would be safe for Katrina and for us. And, we're getting older, and Sandy and I are both going to turn 60 next year. And Katrina, the odds are she'll outlive us, right? And so we're trying to understand what's next for her and setting up long-term options for her care, which is very challenging with her condition. So this community, though, can help. So I mentioned it before, but really, we need to be measuring behavioral outcomes in our studies. I would love to see psychiatrists added to this community, and really to tell you all that even small gains in behavior modification or behavior moderation would really help Katrina and open up additional opportunities for safe living for Katrina. And please, number one, include adults in clinical studies. That would really be awesome, but first I think we have to diagnose more adults. And with that, I think we're out of time. And if you'd like to ask questions or talk about this, just grab Sandy or I during one of the breaks. All right, thank you.